I have been a sex therapist almost 20 years now, and I will tell you one thing is for certain. If you stop having sex with your partner and you're not giving them a good reason, or you're just kind of drifting away, it doesn't take long for that partner to go out and find someone who will have sex with them. And nobody wants that. That's really usually how affairs start. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Dr. Rylie, and this is Real Sex Talk. As you can tell by the title of today's video, we are going to be talking about the age-old question, how important is sex really in a relationship? Some of you are thinking, not at all, could care less, doesn't even cross my mind. Others of you are thinking, I think about it all the time, can't live without it, and I'm not having enough. If you are new here, please consider subscribing to this channel and following this journey. We are going to be talking about men's health, women's health, sexual health, relationships. I would love to have you subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell notification. That way you get notified every time that I upload a new video. All right, so in today's video, we are going to talk about a bunch of different things. One is communication and how important it is to communicate what your sexual needs and desires and wants are to your partner. Also, what happens when your relationship takes a turn and you guys start drifting apart and you're no longer having sex? Can your relationship really last past that? As well as different types of ideas for you to be able to spice up your sex life. Whether you've been together for a short time or you've been together for years, it's never too late to add new things and try new things. And so hopefully you are going to learn something here today. So grab a snack, grab a drink, sit down, get comfortable, and let's get into the video. All right, first, I feel as a sex therapist, probably the most important thing that you need to have in a relationship, period, not just your sexual relationship, but just in a relationship, is communication. So, and that's gonna work for your everyday life as well as your sex life. So communication is super important, and a lot of people fail to communicate because they're worried about judgment. They're worried about being embarrassed. They're worried about what the other person is going to think. And that definitely holds true to your sex life. Because if you just come to your partner and you're like, hey, I want to put a love swing in the middle of the living room or something, they're probably going to wonder where you got the idea. Why would you be saying that? So you're going to feel like you're going to be judged. So there is certain ways that you can kind of approach your partner, but yet using communication to get across what you need. Communication is key. Number one, for your relationship. Number two, for your sex life. Well, my theory is when you're in a relationship with somebody, you should be able to talk to that person about anything. That's who you share your life with. That's who you're having sex with. Above anybody else, that would be the one person you should be able to talk to. When you first start your relationship, most people have really great sex because it's new, it's exciting, and you know, you just kind of go and do whatever. But after a while in your relationship, it can become routine, or maybe you've reached your peak of what you guys are trying, so then you just don't try anything else. A lot of people don't even really know what they like sexually. So that's really important, is to find out what you like so then you can talk to your partner about it. If you were a sheltered person or you grew up in a home where, you know, you were being told sex is bad, sex is dirty, don't do this, don't do that, you might have a very vanilla outlook on sex. But if you grew up exploring things and maybe reading a lot of magazines or, you know, watching porn, you're going to be more open to different things. As a partner in a relationship, it's really important to know where your partner stands on that. Do they have a very vanilla outlook, or, you know, are they willing to explore? Do they have an open mind? So first off, when you're talking to your partner, you definitely need to know, is this person very reserved or is this person outgoing and willing to try new things? And you will never know until you talk to them about it. Here's a fun fact. Men think about sex every 7 seconds, which is about 8,000 times a day, whereas women usually don't think about it much at all, if at all. Men are wired visually, women are wired emotionally. So when you're going to be sexual with someone, you have to keep that in mind. One really kind of a fun way to talk to your partner about sex, if you don't want to actually like speak with them and approach them, is I use a thing in my therapy that it's called hard limits and soft limits. And what I have people do is you take a piece of paper and you're going to write down your soft limits, which are things that you're willing to try, whether or not you've tried them before. These are things that you will do. Then you have your hard limits, which are absolutely not, beyond a shadow of a doubt, don't ask me, not happening. When you make a list of your hard limits and your soft limits, and you give that to your partner, then they kind of get the idea like, oh, okay, well, I definitely shouldn't ask them about this, but this, and this they're willing to try, so now I'm going to work towards that. So that's a really helpful, beneficial way to be able to maybe not feel as embarrassed as if you were speaking to them one-on-one by, just handing them the paper. It makes it much easier. And, if you want, you can ask your partner to do the same thing, and then you guys can exchange it, and that works out really, really well for people. Another thing about sex is not just penetration. And I think a lot of people, when you talk about having sex, they think, oh, we have to have intercourse, and that's sex. There's some women out there who may be going through menopause, maybe have issues with their lady parts on the inside, and sex is painful for them. So as far as penetration goes, it's definitely not something that they're going to want to do. So you have to be creative and find other ways to be able to be sexual and be intimate, but not have her be in pain. There's many things that can be done. I recommend that couples watch porn together. And when you're watching porn, you're watching it to try to find new things that you guys might like to do. So, you're not going to watch one type of porn if you absolutely know that's not something that you would do. But if you guys sit down and watch it together and you say, hey, this looks like fun, let's give this a try. I have couples who will come in and say, hey, we saw this on a porn, can you teach us how to do this? And I think that's a really healthy way to watch porn if you're doing it together, which there's nothing wrong with porn, don't get me wrong. I think both men and women should watch it. It doesn't become a problem until it starts controlling you, then it becomes a problem. But as far as just watching it, nothing wrong with that. Being on the subject of sex is more than just penetration, sex is also very intimate. And intimacy and sex are a completely different thing. And so I think that you need to learn that balance between being intimate with your partner and being sexual with your partner. Intimacy is something that you do like specifically for your partner that lets them know, I love you, I'm thinking about you, I want to be with you. It can be anywhere from sending a text, hello, hope you're having a great day, or I want to make love to you tonight, or it can be running them a bath or getting them a cup of tea, or there's a million different things as far as intimacy goes. If you guys are interested, I will do a video on multiple intimacy ideas for you guys and put together a bunch, and that way you guys will have something to go off of. Because I think when people start thinking about intimacy, they don't really know where to start, and it's actually a very simple thing. So keep in mind, intimacy and sex are very different. Another thing that I like to recommend to couples is date nights are really important. And not just for the sex part of it. Whether you have dogs or kids or parents living with you, you still need that one-on-one time. So to make a weekly date night is really important. And hey, if it turns into sex, so be it. But it's mainly to focus on the two of you, which is a very intimate thing as well. You can go to dinner, you can go on a walk, you can go to a movie, you can stay at home and have a picnic on your bed with peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and grape Kool-Aid. It really doesn't matter. The whole point of date night is just for you two to be together. Obviously, if it's romantic and intimate and sexual, all the better. A lot of times in relationships, life gets in the way of couples. And I mean your job, your family, your kids, your dogs, your cars. When you're in a committed relationship, I think people start to take for granted their partner, and they just assume that they're going to be there every day and every night. You wake up with them, you go to sleep with them. But in reality, you can't take for granted your partner, because when life gets in the way and you guys start doing everything else, and then at the end of the day, when you get into your bed to go to sleep, you're both too tired to even have sex or even cuddle, what happens is you're going to start drifting apart. Now, humans in general, we need that, touch and that emotional connection. So when you're laying in bed with your partner and neither one of you are cuddling or being, intimate, your sex life is definitely going to start to deteriorate. And then what happens is, if one of you stops having sex, or one of you stops kind of putting forth the effort to have sex, your partner is going to start feeling like, what did I do? What's wrong with me? Are they cheating on me? If for some reason that you notice that you're losing interest in sex, or, you might be just not feeling as attracted to your partner, or you just don't have that interest anymore, super, super important to communicate that to your partner. I know it sounds weird, like, what are you going to say? Hey, I don't want to have sex with you anymore? Probably not the best way to start the conversation. However, it is really important to say, hey, I'm just going through something and feeling a little down, or I'm feeling this, or I'm feeling that, and I'm just not that interested in sex. Ladies, I already know if you gain weight, if you've had children, if you have any kind of stress, you definitely are not going to want to feel like having sex. However, you need to communicate that with your partner. And I'm going to give both men and women a very important tip. I hear people all the time saying, I don't know, they just stopped having sex. No warning, no nothing. Or, hey, yeah, it faded over time, and we used to do it, a few times a week, then it was a few times a month, and now it's a few times a year. Listen, people are sexual in general, men and women. We need that. And if you're not giving it to them, they're gonna find somebody who does. So if you're using communication and you're saying, hey, I'm going through menopause, I'm not really feeling it, okay, that might be one thing. Or, hey, I gained a few pounds after I had the baby, and I have some self-confidence issues. As long as you're communicating with your partner, I think that you guys have a great chance of working through that. But when you stop communication and you just stop being sexual, period, most relationships are not going to last past that. So it's super important. There again is the communication. Another thing that's really important as far as your sexual relationship is, if either one of you have had any type of traumatic experience where there was abuse of any kind, rape, molestation, any of that type of thing that has happened to you, whether it was when you were younger or as a teenager or even yesterday, it's really important for you to speak with your partner about that, because when you've had something like that go on in your life, that actually will affect your current relationship. And especially if you haven't worked through it, or maybe, went to a therapist about it. The main thing, though, is letting your partner know. A lot of people, over the years, I've heard a lot of people say, yeah, well, I was molested or I was abused, but my partner doesn't know about it. And I'm telling you, that is not something that you can keep from your partner. Again, I can't stress enough how, if you're in a relationship with somebody, you should most certainly be able to speak with them about anything, and they shouldn't be judgmental, and you shouldn't feel embarrassed. Now, I do realize that not every relationship is like that. If you feel like telling them is going to make your relationship worse or something, okay, don't tell them. But, you know, if you have an understanding partner, it's really important that you share that. You guys need to be able to work through it together. You guys can always try to find a therapist. I'm available. If you need someone to talk to, you can reach out to me. All my contact information, all my social media is in the box below, and I would be happy to speak with you about it because it is something that will follow you for the rest of your life. While we're on the topic of the past, I'm going to encourage you to not bring up any of your past sexual experiences. First off, it can be intimidating to them, and not only that, but you don't want to think of your partner with someone else. I tell everyone, when you get into a new relationship, you're a virgin. So whatever you did with your past partners, whether you liked it, whether you didn't like it, don't bring that into your future or current relationship. Now, what if you want to introduce toys into your relationship? I have something that I use for a lot of couples. You get a basket or a cute little box. You go to the adult store, or you can do it online, up to you, and you buy a bunch of toys. And when I say buy a bunch of toys, I mean you buy toys for the both of you. Now, don't buy anything too intimidating. I would not recommend buying a 12-inch dildo or vibrator because that's probably going to scare the hell out of somebody. So don't do that. But you buy things like blindfolds or handcuffs. You know, buy a smaller vibrator, buy a smaller dildo. Buy whatever you feel like you want to try for you, and then also for your partner. Buy a card that says thinking of you, and you sign your name. You put it all together and you give it to your partner. Here's the kicker. Do not say, hey, so do you want to try these things? No, just give it to them, leave it alone, don't say anything, let them have some time to process it. Guys, when you're doing this for your wife, usually what will happen is she may start using some of the toys before she tells you, or before she says, hey, let's use these together. That's fine. Really, the end result is you eventually want to start using them together. One thing you don't want your sex life to be is routine or scheduled. So try not to say, okay, every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. we're going to have sex from 7 to 7:15. That is not exciting. That's not adventurous. That's not spontaneous. Try having sex in different places. Try different positions. Try is basically the end. Just try new things. You will never know what you like until you try it. There might be things that you've seen that you thought, oh, I would never do that. And then once you try it, you can't live without it. It is said that people who are more happy in life, like who just are outgoing and energetic, those are the people that tend to be more sexual because they're able to have a closer bond and a closer relationship. People who are like have a lot of anxiety, or they're depressed, or they're just miserable in general, they are going to tend to not be as sexually involved. So the key is try to live your best life. Be happy. Take up yoga. Do meditation. Anything that's going to make you happy. Change your job if you have to, if you really hate it that much. Find ways to be happy, because then you're going to be able to build a closer bond. So I'm going to tell you a little story about probably the very best couple that I have ever seen in my entire career. Back in 2004, I had a couple come in who were in their 80s, and they had been married for 65 years, just celebrated their 65th year. When they came in, they were holding hands, and you could just feel the love radiating off of them. It was the most beautiful thing ever. They sat down, we began to talk, and I couldn't help but to say, like, how have you stayed married for 65 years? I mean, you guys seem like you're still so very much in love. And the sweetest answer, they said, you know, we make love 3 days a week and we work on intimacy the other 4 days. Now, that's not my advice, because clearly I haven't been married for 65 years. However, If that's all it takes to stay married for 65 years or to have that happy relationship and be that much in love when you've been together for that long, I would think you would be striving towards seeing if you can do that. You know, making love, having sex, being intimate, that's so important for a healthy relationship. Now, how many times a week should you be having sex? I recommend having sex 2 to 3 times a week, more if possible. Sometimes it just doesn't work. You have kids, you know, you have long hours you work or whatnot, but the more sex, the better. Some people even go as far as having like a little cue or something like, oh, this person goes and takes a shower and they shave their legs. That must mean they're ready to have sex tonight. Or I usually sleep in flannel pajamas, but tonight I'm going to sleep in booty shorts. That means I'm ready to have sex tonight. Try not to get into that routine where you know when it's that time to have sex. Be creative, be adventurous, try new things. Don't ever, ever, ever lose the spontaneity. Don't ever lose the adventure. All right, guys, well, that is my video for today. I hope that you learned something. I hope it was beneficial. I would love to hear your opinion on how important sex is to you. So you can leave it down in the comment section below, or you can private message me and we can speak about it. But let me know your opinion on what you learned here today, and have you tried any of these things, or is this something that you're willing to try? Where are you sexually in your relationship, and you know, how are you feeling? Are you the person on the side that is feeling like something's going wrong, like you don't understand why your partner doesn't want to have sex with you anymore? Or are you the person that doesn't want to have sex anymore? I'd be very curious to hear about it. I definitely appreciate you guys spending time with me today, and I do have more videos coming up very soon, so stay tuned for those. Also, as I said in the beginning, leave me a comment below and let me know what type of videos that you guys want. Give me a topic and I'll make a video on it. If you guys are interested in looking at my toy store, all the links will be in the description below, and just go over there. I've got some great toys there for men and women, and you guys can get started on your toy collection, or you can get started on buying your very first toy. Either way, there's also a bunch of videos on many different topics over there on the VODs and the DVDs. So check those out. That might be really beneficial to help you guys kind of get to where you want to be. And when you buy a toy, depending on the toy price, you get anywhere from 2 to 10 free DVDs or VODs. So it's actually a really great deal, and it would be a great place for you guys to start. So find the links in the description box below, and let me know if you have any questions. Again, I would be happy to help you. I will see you next time. Thank you so much for spending time here.